My fellow Liberians, a few days ago, our hearts were broken by a national tragedy. At a religious crusade in Nuku Town, a number of Liberians, most of whom were women and children, lost their lives, while others were wounded in a rush said to have been caused when the worshippers were fleeing from an attack by Zogos. I have reached out to some of the families of the victims and some of the organizers of the crusade. Understandably, they are heartbroken. Mothers and fathers have lost their children. Children have lost their parents. And what should have been a time of praise and worship has left families and the entire nation mourning and grieving. I ask for prayers of all Liberians, of every faith and denomination, for the comfort of the grieving families and healing for the wounded. No family deserves to have their children or parents die while they worship, nor should our streets, homes, and communities continue to be increasingly unsafe and insecure. How many of our citizens need to die so that our government understands the urgency of acting seriously to secure our streets and communities? How many of our children need to be addicted to harmful drugs before we prioritize rehabilitation and clean up our communities of harmful drugs and ghettos? Today, Liberia is referred to as a transshipment point for Southeast and Southwest Asian heroin and South American cocaine for the European and US markets. This means people are using our country to sell harmful drugs to other countries. The harmful drugs are not just passing through our country, they are selling it to our children, including in our schools. These harmful drugs are destroying the minds of our children, making our communities unsafe, and risking the future of our country. We must stop it. To stop it will require stronger and more resourceful enforcement agencies, including tighter inspections and controls at all ports of entry, while shutting down the drug rings and ghettos in our communities. It will also mean funding youth rehabilitation and mentorship programs. If those who are supposed to protect our schools and communities from harmful drugs are the ones actually helping to bring the harmful drugs into the country, we will not be able to stop it. We will not be able to stop it if the people who should be protecting our children are the ones protecting those selling the harmful drugs to our children. This is not just wrong, it is wicked. This government needs to take a hard look at itself and get serious about stopping the harmful drug business in Liberia. Finally, my fellow Liberians, even in this dark period of our nation, we must never forget that many, if not all of those who attended the crusade, including those who unfortunately died in the rush, and those alleged to have caused it, are victims of long, repeated, and systemic injustices in our country. In a country blessed with so much wealth, too many Liberians continue to be too poor. Too many continue to be denied opportunities, and too many continue to be left too far behind. Rather than working to solve these problems, this government is too busy making excuses and blaming others. It is said that the strength of a chain is measured by its weakest link. This is true. The real value of our society is not measured by how we treat the best of us, but by how we treat those we may consider to be the worst of us. Citizens must care, and the government has a higher duty to care. This is why when the government is dividing the country's wealth, it is wrong to continue to give more to those who should be getting less, while giving nothing to those who actually should be getting more. We have to change this. A government that truly cares will not buy a US $80,000 car for one official, while there is no effective rehabilitation program for its addicted citizens. It cannot be right that we will prioritize the size of convoys when the police needs training and resources to fight crimes, and when hospitals have no beds or medicines. The tragedy in Newtown is an urgent call to action. To answer the call, we must reset the national priorities and re-examine our values. A good place to start will be to provide allocation in the budget currently under consideration by the legislature to support organizations and agencies on the front line of the fight against crimes and drugs. Of course, it will not bring our mothers, fathers, children, and other loved ones back. But to the loving memories, we will ensure that it never happens again, not in Newtown or in any town or village across our country. May God comfort the bereaved families and heal the wounded.